Imagine a world drowned in silence, cities turned to bones, memories scattered like dust, and echoes of humanity whispering through the wind. Then from that silence, a melody begins. That's Wuthering Waves, a game that just doesn't ask you to fight through the apocalypse. It asks you to remember why it happened. In the opening moments, you don't wake to a call for adventure. You wake to a memory of a world that has already ended. There are ruins draped in vines, lights that flicker out of habit, winds that carry no voices, but still remember how to whisper. And you, the rover, are a shape moving through that silence, trying to listen to what's left. The game never tells you you're the hero. It doesn't need to. You're a listener, a witness, a traveler between echoes. And that's what sets Wuthering Waves apart. Where other games begin with a promise, this one begins with a requiem. It's not a song of triumph, but a remembrance. And yet somehow in that quiet, it becomes beautiful. Wuthering Waves is built on the ideal of resonance, of things that once vibrated in life, still humming faintly beneath the dust. It's a word that feels scientific, musical, and spiritual all at once. Resonance is the memory of sound, the shadow of feeling, the ghost of motion that refuses to fade. Everything in this world exists in resonance, from the hum of machinery beneath collapsed towers to the soft exhale of wind brushing through grass. Even the combat, the way your sword arcs through the air, carries the same rhythm, that pulse of what once was. And you start to understand, this world isn't dead, it's dreaming. There's something almost sacred about the landscape of Solaris 3. It's not a wasteland, it's a world reborn through loss. The cities are fractured but not forgotten, their glass bones catching light like crystal relics. The sky seems older here, not merely blue, but layered with memory. Every sound feels heavy, like it's been echoing for centuries. When you walk through its plains and ruins, the silence feels intentional, not emptiness, but space. Space for reflection, space for the echoes of what used to matter. It's a quiet that doesn't push you forward, it invites you inward. The architecture speaks in riddles of the past, machines entangled in trees, temples swallowed by sand, lights that refuse to die. And through it all, there's this haunting awareness that the world doesn't belong to you, you're a visitor. A ripple in the larger current, someone passing through a melody that has already been written. The game doesn't tell its story through exposition or dialogue, it's written in tone, in gesture, in silence. The ruins are its pages, the wind is its voice, and you, unknowingly, become part of its text. Your movement, your curiosity, your persistence, weaving you into its rhythm. The ecosystem makes this literal. When you fight, you don't simply defeat your enemies, you absorb their memory. Each creature you overcome becomes part of your resonance, an echo within you. Their voices, their powers, their remnants, they live again through you. It's a mechanic that carries philosophy, that nothing never truly dies. It just changes forms. In this world, even destruction becomes preservation. Every battle is an exchange, not an erasure. You become a collection of echoes, a living archive of everything the world has lost. And maybe that's what Wuthering Waves is really about. Not conquest, not exploration, but the gentle act of remembering. The combat itself feels alive, a language of rhythm and movement. You don't play it so much as you flow through it. Each parry, each dodge, each impact feels like a verse in a song of motion. When it works, it feels almost musical. A balance between chaos and control, instinct and intention. And that's the brilliance of Kuro Games' design. They've turned action into poetry. You feel the tempo of the world in every encounter. You sense when to move, when to wait, when to let the silence breathe. It's less about speed and more about harmony. Combat isn't just about defeating enemies, it's about finding rhythm in destruction. And once you start hearing it, really hearing it, you realize that the world itself is keeping time. Every enemy, every echo, every clash of steel, every ripple of light, they're all part of the same song. But the world of Wuthering Waves is not just physical, it's emotional. Every character you meet, every resonator, carries their own fragment of history. They speak in quiet tones, often more in what they don't say than what they do. There are people who've already lost something, who've made peace with that loss, or are still trying to. And through them you begin to sense the deeper texture of this world, a place where people aren't searching for purpose, but for meaning. They're not fighting to restore the old order, They're learning to exist in the aftermath. They're learning to resonate with what's left. It's rare for a game to treat its character like emotional archaeology. Each one feels unearthed, dusted off, given voice again. They don't feel written to serve a plot. They feel remembered. Music becomes the soul's last refuge. It breathes emotion to silence. It turns isolation into connection. The score of Wuthering Waves is delicate, almost shy. It doesn't demand attention. It rewards it. Strings swell and retreat like tides. Piano notes fall like rain in slow motion. There are moments when you stop moving and you realize the music has stopped too, and that's when the world feels most alive. Because the silence isn't absence, it's trust. The game trusts you to listen, even when nothing's being said. It's a rare design choice to let players' attention complete the song, to trust silence as much as sound. The story of Wuthering Waves is fragmented, scattered like shattered glass reflecting light. You collect its meaning piece by piece, not through exposition, but through experience. Every discovery feels like tuning a string back to pitch. Every encounter, every ruin, every whisper builds a chord of understanding. You begin to realize that this isn't a story about saving anyone. It's about acceptance, about standing among ruins and learning to love them despite their brokenness, but because of it. Where most post-apocalyptic games chase the fantasy of rebuilding, Wuthering Waves lingers in the present, in the space between loss and rebirth. It's not a game about the end of the world. It's a game about the world that comes after the end. And that's what makes it so quietly revolutionary. It finds hope, not in restoration, but in endurance. It asks, if nothing lasts forever, what do we carry forward? If we can't rebuild what we lost, can we at least remember how it felt to have it? Everywhere you go in Wuthering Waves, that question follows you. The ruins don't weep for their creators. The machines don't rebel against their fate. Everything simply continues, slowly, inevitably, resonating through time. There's a peace to that acceptance, a kind of grace. It's as if the world has already made peace with its own death, and is now teaching you to do the same. That's why Wuthering Waves doesn't feel tragic, it feels tender. It doesn't wallow in despair, it mourns with love. Its sorrow is quiet, almost dignified, the kind of sadness that only comes from deep understanding. If you look past the beauty, you'll find something even more powerful: restraint. Every part of the game, from its pacing to its design, seems guided by the ideal that meaning comes from patience. It doesn't rush you, it doesn't fill the space with chatter, it leaves gaps, for thought, for silence, for breath. That's a rare courage in game design, to let absence speak, because emptiness, when treated with respect, can hold infinite meaning. In those still moments when the light fades and the wind begins to hum, you start to feel something deep and wordless stir inside you. It's not nostalgia, it's not sadness, it's resonance. The recognition that the beauty of existence is inseparable from its impermanence. Even its flaws echo that ideal. The bugs, the performance issues, the rough edges. They remind you that this world, like ours, is imperfect, but that imperfection makes it human. You can sense the passion beneath the polish, the care beneath the code. A small team reaching for something beyond the sum of its parts, a feeling, an ideal, a moment of connection. And maybe that's why the game feels so alive despite its cracks, because those cracks let the light in. What stays with you after Wuthering Waves isn't the missions or the mechanics, it's the feeling of standing still, of hearing the wind whisper through a place that shouldn't exist anymore, of watching light spill across a broken city and realizing that even in decay, there's beauty. It's the realization that the world doesn't end in silence, it ends in song, soft, fragmented, fading, but still singing. When the screen fades to black, when you finally close the game, that melody lingers. You feel it in your chest, a hum that doesn't belong to you, but passes through you anyway. You realize that the echoes of the world aren't trapped in ruins or relics. They're carried in people, in us. We are the continuation of those waves. Wuthering Waves isn't a story about heroes. It's a meditation on memory. It's a reflection on the way beauty survives through the collapse. It's an elegy, a hymn, a quiet prayer for everything that once mattered and still does, even when forgotten. And in that way, it's one of the rarest kinds of games. Not one that tries to make you feel powerful, but one that reminds you of your fragility and makes that fragility feel sacred. Because maybe after all, meaning isn't something we build. Maybe it's something we remember, something we feel in the resonance between what's lost and what remains. And maybe that's why Wuthering Waves feels so human, because we are all echoes, the lingering notes of songs that came before us, fading but never gone. And in playing it and listening to that silence, we learn to hear ourselves more clearly. The waves keep moving, the silence keeps singing, and somewhere in that resonance, we find the courage to keep walking. Not to fix the world, not to save it, but simply to listen.